Hi, Ashley here with hearthookhome.com, and today we will be working up one of my new spike socks. This is a new crochet sock pattern I have published and I absolutely love it. It's a single crochet toe worked in a spiral, and then we used the alternating single crochet spike stitch for the body of the foot. We increase till we get to the ankle, then we pinch off for the leg. Absolutely love this design. Let's learn how to make this sock. To make the spike sock, we are using a Stroll tweed yarn. This is a fingering weight yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a merino wool, nylon, and tweed blend, so it works great for socks. I'm also using a 4mm crochet hook. You can use whatever size you need to obtain the gauge as listed in the pattern. I have a stitch marker, I have my yarn needle for weaving in ends at the end, and I have my scissors. Let's do it. For this spike sock pattern, there are 5 sizes included. The first 7 rounds of the toe are the same for all 5 sizes, so we're going to work those up together. To start, we're going to do a chain 7. We're going to place 3 single crochets in the second chain from the hook, and I like to go into this back bar here. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now when we get to this final chain here, we're going to place 5 single crochets in that final chain. After I make the first 2 or 3, I like to move this tail over to the other side and then kind of crochet around it. That's 4, and that's 5. And now I'm going to single crochet in each of those 4 stitches on the opposite side. So this is how we're going to start working in a spiral. Make sure that toe is nice and tight, right? Now that I've done those 4 stitches, I'm going to place 2 more single crochets in the same as we started, right over here. 2 more. Now I'm going to find the first stitch made. It might be hiding just a tiny bit. We're going to find the first stitch made, and we're going to start round 2 in that. So you can see that it's directly next here. And like I said, it might get buried just a little bit, so you might have to root around for it. I'm going to place my first stitch right there, and this is round 2. Now I'm going to mark this with a stitch marker, and I'm going to mark these first stitch of the row every time. So I've done my first stitch. Now I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the next, single crochet in the next 6 stitches, two single crochets in the next, one in the next, 2 in the next, and we're just mirroring what we did on the first side. Got those 2. Now we're going to go into the next 6 stitches. 2 in the next, or the final, and that is the end of round 2. With round 3, we're going to remove our stitch marker. We're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to move that stitch marker up. We're going to do 2 in the next. And now we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. Two single crochet in the next. And then we're going to repeat the first half of that. So 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and then single in 8. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Now when we get to the end of round 3, you'll see that it says to single crochet 1 extra time to move the first stitch over. All that means is that we're going to go into this next stitch here with a single crochet, and it doesn't count as a stitch on that row. It doesn't count as at all. We're just moving it over, moving the seam or the side over to where it's directly on top of this. Now we're going to start round 4. We're going to do a single crochet in the next, and we're going to mark this one because that is now stitch number 1. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the next. We're going to single crochet in 10 stitches. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next. Oops. 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and now single crochet in 10. When we get back, we're going to do those 2 single crochets in that last stitch there. All right, now we are ready for round 5. Remove the stitch marker, single crochet in the first, replace the stitch marker, 2 in the next, and you guessed it, single crochet in the next 12. 2 single crochet in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, single crochet in the next 12 stitches. 2 single crochet in the last. I keep saying that, 2 stitches in the last. And now we are at the end of round 5. We're going to place another one of those single crochets to keep us on the outermost portion of that oval. That's the end of round 5. Oh, we need to do beginning of round 6. We're going to do a single crochet and mark that. And now round 6, we're not going to do any increasing or decreasing or anything. So this is a good opportunity to make sure that you do have 34 stitches. So go ahead and count your stitches as you're making this row and make sure that you have 34 at this point. It's a good opportunity to do that. For round 7, this is the last round that is the same for all sizes. We're going to do our single crochet in the next, replace the stitch marker, we're going to do 2 in the next, and then go into 14, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and then into 14, 2 in the last. Now I'm making the size 2, so I'm going to continue with row or round 8. And round 8 for size 2 is just a repeat of round 6. So I'm just going to do a solid single crochet row. This is the point where you need to make sure you're checking the written pattern for the size that you are following. Now for round 9 on the size 2, it's another round 6. So I'm just going to do this one more time. At the end of round 9, we're going to do another one of those bumps. So we're just going to move the seam over, just one. Now I'm starting round 10 for the size 2. I'm going to do my single crochet in the next, 2 in the next, and then in 16. 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and in 16, and 2 in the final. And then for my size, for rounds 11 and 12, they are going to be around 6, so there's no increasing there. So I'm going to do those 2 additional toe rounds for my size, and we'll hook up when it's time to start the foot. Now that I've made it all the way back around for round 12, I'm ready to start the foot. And it is a good time, if you want to go ahead and weave in this yarn tail, it's a good time to cinch up any holes you have along the bottom of the toe here before the sock gets too big. To start the foot, we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and this is going to be our new join. We're going to chain 1 and turn so that we're looking at the inside, and that chain does not count as a stitch. We're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and then we're going to join to the top of that first stitch made. I'm going to join to that first stitch, and now I'm ready to do the next round, which is the round that we're going to be doing over and over and over again all the way up through where we start doing our increases at the ankle here. So we've got all of this beautiful stitching to go. Isn't that pretty? For the next round, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to start with a single crochet spike stitch. So all that means is that instead of going into the top of the stitch here, like if you are making a regular single crochet, that you're going to insert your hook down at the base of that single crochet right here in that same spot right there, and you're going to do a single crochet. That's it. And now you're going to do a single crochet in the next, so a regular single crochet through the top of that stitch like you normally would. And now you're going to do one of those spike stitches again, so you're going to go into the base of that stitch down here from the previous row, into this one. Spike into this one, single into the next, spike into the next, and single into the next. And we're just alternating these 2 stitches all the way around. When you get to the end, you should end with a regular single crochet, and you're going to join to the top of that first spike stitch. Just like that. Beautiful. So chain one and turn. You're going to do your spike stitch into this first one. Always do the spike stitch first. And now you're going to single crochet in what was the spike stitch from the previous row. So you can see that this V looks a lot bigger than the one next to it. That was a spike stitch last row. That was a single crochet last row. So now we're going, since we are always starting with the spike, we're always going to single in the previous row's spike and then spike in the previous row's single, right? So you're just alternating those. I'm going to continue with as many rounds as I need. For size 2 that I am making, I need to complete this through round 53. So I'm going to continue making these foot rounds, and I will hook back up with you when it's time to start doing our increases at the heel. I have made it through the foot rows of my size 2. Isn't that beautiful? I love this stitch, and this tweed looks beautiful with it. I'm ready to start my heel rows, and in order to do that, we're just going to start placing increases on either side of the heel, at the join and then on the opposite side over here. For the first round of the heel, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to do a spike stitch in the first and a single in the next. We're going to repeat those 2 stitches. For my size, I'm going to do that 10 more times. Now that I've done my 10 more times, I'm ready to do my increase in this next stitch here. So in order to do that, I'm going to place a spike, a chain 1, and a spike in that same stitch. And I am going to go ahead and mark the chain space. And now I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do a single crochet in the next, right here. And now I'm going to continue that spike, single, alternating until we get back to where we started. Now that I've gotten back to where we started, I'm going to place another spike in the same as that first stitch there, so right here. And then I'm going to chain 1 and join to that stitch. And now this next row is the one we're going to be doing over and over and over again until we get ready to do the ankle. So this round is the one you're going to repeat as many times as stated. So I'm going to do a single crochet in this chain space that we just made. Now I'm going to do a single crochet in the next. Do a spike in the next. And a single in the next. And we're going to repeat this until we get to the stitch marker. Place that single crochet right before that stitch marker. Now we're going to remove that and we're going to do an increase in that chain space. So there I'm going to do a single crochet, and it helps to make sure you're coming out the right spot on the other side. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. And mark that chain space again. And now in the next stitch, you're going to place a single crochet, a spike, a single, etc., all the way until we get to the end. When we get to the end, we're going to place another increase in that same as the join. There's my spike. You want to make sure you're placing your final single crochet. Don't let it get hidden in there. You should always end with a regular single crochet when you're doing your regular stitches. Now we're going to do our single and the chain 1 in the same as that first. And that is our increase. Join. And now you're going to repeat that round as many times as stated for the size that you are making. For my size 2, I'm going to do this round until I get to round 70 total. I finished my heel increasing, got these beautiful increases on both sides. Now I'm ready to do the final round before I do the ankle. This one's just a little bit different. I'm going to chain one and turn, single crochet in the chain space, single crochet in the next. We're going to do our spike in the next, single in the next. We're going to repeat that until we get to the other increase. So I've made it to the stitch marker. This time when I remove the stitch marker, I'm only going to do 2 single crochets in that chain space. Just 2 with no chain in between. You can go ahead and replace the stitch marker. I'm not going to because we're going to place it again in the next round. Go ahead and single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to repeat the spike and single all the way around. And then the next round is going to be our ankle. When you get back around, we're going to do a single crochet in the same as join like we have been doing, but we're not going to do that extra chain one. We're just going to join right on to that first single crochet. And now we are ready for the actual ankle round. So for size 2, that's round 72. I'm going to chain one and turn. I'm going to single crochet in the next. Since we didn't do that chain one there, we don't have to go into that chain. Single crochet in the next, spike in the next, and you're going to repeat that, those 2 stitches, the total number of times for the size that you're making. Right now, my size is 27 more times. That is my 27th repeat. Now I'm going to do a single crochet in the next, and this is where I'm going to place my stitch marker. Right in that stitch there. And now I'm going to do a lot of decreases all the way across the heel here. We're going to do decreases all the way across to kind of cinch up that heel and make it nice and rounded across the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet 3 together for this number of times that it says. So for size 2, I'm going to do that 18 times. Now, for a single crochet 3 together, you can either go into each of the next 3 stitches and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 4. And that is a single crochet 3 together. I like to do it the invisible decrease, which is we go through the front loop only, rotate your hook, go through the front loop only, rotate your hook, and go through the front loop only, and then pull through all 3 of those loops, and then complete your single crochet. Make that stitch a little bit tighter. It makes the end cleaner if you make all of these decreases on the tight side. Let me show you one of those decreases again. So we're using the front loop only. I'm going to rotate my hook into the second front loop, and then rotate my hook into the third front loop. Pull that straight on through all 3 of those stitches that we're decreasing, and then complete the single crochet. Make sure that stitch is nice and tight. Now I'm going to do that for a total for the size 2 of 18 times. Some sizes will have an extra stitch or here 2 here. Follow along. For size 2, I just have 1 more stitch, so I'm just going to do 1 single crochet right there. And now I'm going to join to the top of the first stitch here. And that is the first round of the ankle. You can see that the back here where the ankle or the heel will be is nice and tightened up, so we are ready to do the next round. I'm going to turn so that I'm looking at the inside now. I'm going to skip all of these stitches that I just made, all of these decreases, and I'm going to slip stitch in this marked stitch here. And that just eliminates, this stitch marker just eliminates you having to count all that. So that's always appreciative, or I'm always appreciative of that. So now I'm going to chain one. We're going to do a single crochet in the next, so this one right here, and remember to follow the pattern of the single in the previous row's spike, and then the spike in the previous row's single right here. And we're just going to alternate those all the way around. I did wanted to note on this round here where we did the join, if you need extra room for your ankle, you can crochet an extra 2 or 4 chains there. If your ankles are thinner and these are a little bit too big for you, then you can do a couple decreases right here on these at the beginning and the end of this row or this round. So what would be right here? I'm going to end this with a spike, and I'm going to join to the top of the first stitch made right here. So if you need to, you can do a couple decreases right here, or you can add more to the ankle when you do this here. You just need to make sure that it's an even number so that all of the stitches work out. Now we are going to do the leg, and all we're doing with the leg is the same thing that we did for the foot the whole way, except for now these rounds start with a single crochet instead of the starting with the spike that we did down on the foot. Just the way the ankle worked out, they are flip-flopped, but you're still placing them the same way with the single and the spike and the single. Now that I have done my leg rows, I am ready to start on my finishing. In order to do that, I'm going to chain one and turn. I'm going to do a front post, back post preparation row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a half double crochet in the first stitch here. And then I'm going to place a spike half double crochet, which is just a half double crochet going into the base of that single crochet like we have been, and just making it a half double crochet. So I'm going to half double crochet regularly and then spike. And I'm going to continue this all the way around and join to the top of that first stitch. All right, now that we've got our preparation edging row finished, we're going to start our actual edging row. So I'm going to chain 2 and turn. I'm going to do a front post double crochet around the next stitch here, which is that spike from the half double of the previous round. So front post double crochet. Now we're going to do a back post double crochet. So that's wrap your yarn, come from the back side, hook that whole post front to back, and now complete your double crochet. I'm going to alternate front post and back posts all the way around, and it creates that nice ribbing that we've got here. They're always going to line up so that the ribbing is formed. So now I've got a front post. I'm just going around that entire stitch from that previous round, double crochet, and a back post. I'm making these a little bit on the tight side so that they cinch up nicely and create that nice band for the socks. At the end of this first ribbing row or edging row, we do have a decrease because we need to be on an odd number of stitches for this round and all subsequent rounds. So when I get there, I've got this back post here, and now I'm going to do a front post 2 together with these final 2 stitches. So I'm just going to treat it like a double crochet 2 together. There's my first half and my second half, and then finish that decrease just like that. I'm going to join to the top of the first stitch made, and now I'm going to chain 2 and turn. I'm going to do a back post double crochet around this one right here that we just made, And then in the next one, I'm going to do a front post. And so these will always line up. So as you continue to add these edging rows, you will see that they always line up in nice even lines here. So I'm going to do several rounds of this front post, back post to create this edging, and then we will do one round of single crochet to finish her off, and then we will seam our heel. We're very close to being done. When we finish our last round of front post, back post, we're going to go back through with just a single crochet round to clean it up. So when I go to do that, I'm going to do a chain 1, and I'm just going to go into each stitch around, and I'm not going to turn, I'm just doing a single crochet just to clean up those edging stitches, and going just a little bit tight here, give it a nice clean edge. When I get all the way back around, I'm going to fasten off and snip my yarn. I'm going to snip my yarn, and then I'm going to fasten off using the invisible join. So in order to do that, I've snipped my yarn. I have not joined here. I'm just going to pull it straight on through. Thread my yarn needle. Now I'm going to look at the first stitch made. I'm going to go front to back in this here. Hold this down with your thumb. And now go front to back in the same one that that's coming out of, just like that. Beautiful. Now I'm going to feed my yarn down to the opening here where this stitch marker is. I'm just going to feed it on down through these stitches. Try not to pull it too tight because it will pucker there if you do. Just going through those post stitches there. Trying to get all the way down to this near the stitch marker. When you get down there, you're going to put your needle through to the other side so that you're looking at it down this way. We'll remove that stitch marker, and now we're going to sew stitch for stitch to create this heel. You can sew it, we're going back and forth here like this. You can sew this with a whip stitch where you're just going around and around and around, or you can do a mattress stitch, which is what I'm going to do, or you can do the invisible shoulder seam. It really just depends on how pretty and how seamless you want it to be. Nice and clean seam here. And once your heel gets in there, it's going to fill in that rounded portion. Your heel is going to sit in there just perfectly. Get to the end here. We're going to hook this and go through to the back on the inside. When you go to the back on the inside, you kind of pull this, and it pulls that to where it really rounds out the back bottom of that heel. And now I'm just going to weave in my ends. Here we are with our spike sock completed. I absolutely love this pattern. I love how our increases are nice and clean here on both sides. This is our join over here. Look how nice and clean that is and how sleek this whole sock looks. I hope you love this pattern. I look forward to crocheting again with you soon. Thanks for watching.